Happy noon, everybody. We're getting ready to get started with our rally. First, I'd like to say thank you so much for coming out. You don't know how much this means in the middle of a week, in the middle of the day, that you took the time to show your support for the legislators who are supporting you in solidarity against the mandatory vaccines that are now being thrust upon everybody. My name is Dorothy Moon. I represent District 8, all of Central Idaho, rural Idaho. Behind me, we have our legislators who are here in solidarity with you. A lot of them are going to speak, and if not, we're going to go in and get to work looking at some RSs, future bills that will be up for consideration. So the first thing I want to do is, first of all, let's have the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a young lady with a flag. Oh, we have a bunch of flags with Jeannie over there. Thanks, Jeannie. So I'd like to say the pledge, and then we'll have a prayer.
Priscilla.
If everybody would remove their hats, please, and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Yes. Priscilla Giddings, Representative Giddings, will be saying a prayer. Thank you.
Please bow your heads with me, remove your covers. Our gracious Heavenly Father, you are an awesome God, and we know that no matter what happens here, we pray that your will be done, and we can stand confident knowing that you win no matter what. Lord, use us as your servants. Give us your wisdom, your protection, and your guidance in all things. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Representative Giddings. So I just want to lead this out, and then I'm going to turn it over to some people who have to get on the move. One thing I think most of you are aware of, that the issue of the mandatory vaccines was pretty much front and center in July. In July, I think we all heard that our nurses were soon going to have to take the jab, or they were going to have to leave their positions. That's going to put us in a healthcare crisis I don't think any of us want to deal with. It was in August, we heard the September 1 deadline was when action was going to be taken by our major hospitals in the state. So what has happened since then? Well, the legislature sure wasn't reconvened. And remember, the House did not sine die, so we're technically just on recess waiting to come back in. So the only people who've really done anything so far has been the state GOP. And we're very fortunate to have thank you. We're very fortunate to have a representative from the Idaho State GOP. Tom Luna, the chairman, was going to be here. He was on a plane this morning for a well-deserved vacation, and he was upset he couldn't be here to let you know that they stand strong with the people of Idaho. But we are fortunate to have the executive director, Tyler Kelly, is going to get up and let you know just exactly what your Idaho Republican Party has been doing to protect you from government overreach. Tyler.
Thank you very much. Afternoon, thank you. Appreciate the introduction. We were invited today to present this. So what we did was we passed a resolution. So the Idaho Republican Party passed a resolution. And what that means is the Idaho State Central Committee passed a resolution. Now, for those of you who are not aware, the State Central Committee is made up of members from all across the state, from Boundary to Owyhee to Bear Lake to Lemhi counties. And there's representatives of each of those counties all across the state. And we convened a few weeks ago, actually, on August 28th, and we passed a resolution. And I'm going to read that cover letter for you, and it has been sent out to the members of the executive branch, the House, and the Senate. So on September 1, 2021, this was sent. Dear Pro Tem Winder, Speaker Bedke, state senators, and representatives, on August 28, 2021, the State Central Committee unanimously passed Resolution 2021-49, a resolution in support of legislation to protect Idahoans from forced vaccine mandates. The resolution states, quote, that several businesses, including major medical facilities in the state of Idaho, are now enforcing experimental COVID-19 vaccination as a condition of employment against the conscience of employees or be subject to immediate termination without cause. And that the Idaho Republican Party platform, Article 13, overwhelmingly affirms individual rights in healthcare decisions and the right for all persons to consciously object to vaccines that conflict with their moral and religious beliefs. The resolution also includes language that, quote, requests the state party chairman, Tom Luna, send a formal request to the Republican legislature asking them to reconvene to take up forced vaccine mandates, and strongly urges the Republican members of the Idaho legislature to immediately pass legislation that protects Idahoans against coercive vaccine mandates. This letter, which I'm reading to you today, along with the attached copy of Resolution 2021-49, represents my request as State Party Chair that per the unanimous resolution, you reconvene the legislature for the purpose of immediately passing legislation that protects Idahoans against coercive vaccine mandates. So this was the letter that was sent to the members per the State Central Committee, and I'm here to present it, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tyler's got to go work on the redistricting map, so we're going to excuse him from our meeting. Thank you so much, Tyler, for driving all around Boise to help us out here. Thank you. So I want to continue with what Executive Director Kelly just said. Immediately. We will immediately address this in the legislature. I don't know what immediate means to you. I guess I should have brought out my Webster's dictionary. But I don't think it means September 15th. I think it meant right after. By September 1 was the deadline we knew that we were facing for our nurses and our medical and the contractors that deal with the hospitals on all regard. So, as far as immediate, we really missed the boat. I want you to know that the legislators behind me, many of them started conversation before the end of August to decide how do we get back into session. Numerous calls have been made by all of you in this audience and emails to our speaker and our pro tem and our governor. Somebody get us back into session. But it's fallen on deaf ears, you guys. It's fallen on deaf ears. Sadly, more has transpired since the September 1 deadline. President Biden, which is very hard to say, but President Biden has come out. I want to thank all of you for walking over to the airport in 2 days to be here. I really appreciate it. So as far as what the mandates that our president has just put out, you would have thought last middle of the week that we would have come in Monday of this week to address the issue. But apparently leadership doesn't think it's paramount to the health and well-being and the psyche of the citizens of this state. I do. We do. You do. So now here we are today. I want you to know that we're here in numbers. There's 70 of us in the House. The Democrats, I figured they would have been here, but they're not. But out of the 58 Republicans, there were more that were going to be here. Senators have called and said this is a coup. People have put in the AP, the newspaper, that we're grandstanding. I would like to know, when is it grandstanding when we're representing you and your interests are all we have in our hearts? Then by golly, I'm grandstanding. I am. We're going to move on because I've got some other folks behind me who want to speak. I will close up the meeting. We have a full day of activities, so if you are around, there's other things going on I think you'll be excited about. Terry Gestrin, my seatmate, has not made it, but I just want to report what he was going to tell you all. He was in Ohio on Labor Day. That was one of the days we considered for calling ourselves back up here. Why? Well, Labor Day, we celebrate our workers. But it didn't work. Some people were out of town, so we have to move on. And now we're in Constitution Week, but let's protect your rights. But Terry Gestrin was on a trip in Ohio, and he saw a contract between FEMA and the state of Idaho. The state of Idaho has already secured traveling nurses to come in to replace nurses who are out of the hospitals because they won't take the jab. That is what he was going to report to you. I don't know why he's not here, but I'll sure be asking him. If he shows up, I'll let him expand on that should he come up on the steps here in a minute. But right now, I want to pass off to Representative Tammy Nichols, District 11. She's going to let you know what's going on here.
Thank you, Representative Moon. It is my pleasure to give you a roll count of who is here to represent you from our state. And the purpose in doing this is to make sure that you know who is here and who is not. And we would encourage you to please contact those that are not here. We will wait for them. We will accept them with open arms. We want them to be here. We want them to be here to represent their constituents and the people of Idaho. So that is why we're going to do this. So I'm going to start off from District 1, Heather Scott. And you're free to applause if you would like. She is here to represent her constituents. In District 2, Vito Barbieri, Representative Vito Barbieri. He is here to represent his constituents. In District 3, we have Representative Ron Mendive. He is here to represent his constituents. Also District 3 is Representative Tony Wisniewski. He is here to represent his constituents. From District 6, we have Representative Mike Kingsley, who is here to represent his constituents. From District 7, we have Representative Priscilla Giddings, who is here to represent her constituents. From District 8, we have Representative Dorothy Moon, who is here to represent her constituents. From District 11, we have Representative Tammy Nichols, who's here to represent her constituents. From District 21, we have Representative Greg Furch, who is here to represent his constituents. From District 32, we have Representative Chad Christensen, who is here to represent his constituents. From District 34, we have Representative Ron Nate, who's here to represent his constituents. And from District 35, we have Representative Carrie Hanks, who is here to represent her constituents. We would also like to acknowledge that even though this is primarily regarding the House, we also have Senator Christy Zitto and Senator Regina Bayer, who is here with us today to represent their constituents. Please contact those that are not here and encourage them to fight for your rights, to stand for the people, and to be here with us. Thank you.
All right, our next person to address you will be Representative Vito Barbieri.
Hey. I got to get organized here. Really, thank you for allowing us to join you. Aren't you glad you're not being arrested today? Just for gathering, right? Well, I'm just asking, for how much longer? You know, at times our faith is tested. And we must remember that we need not put faith in man, but in Jesus Christ. Amen? The governor did not call me here to Boise. The speaker did not call me here today. You called me to act on your behalf. Actually, the speaker did issue a statement. He said, he quote, will actively pursue and support any and all efforts to block this massive federal overreach. I don't see him here. I'm not sure what he means. Did he mean that he wished he was here with us? Okay, he couldn't make it, and that's why the others aren't here. But federal overreach? Unlawful, unconstitutional, unnecessary medical mandates are just federal overreach? We'd hope to have enough legislators here to reconvene. We'd hope to have enough legislators to recognize the times and the peril. But Speaker hasn't supported this effort despite his words. And we're here now to act against a clear and present tyranny. We're here now to support you personally, me individually, us individually. And we can't act formally without a quorum. I'm sure that all of your legislators would like to be here, but the Speaker said we can't. I'm sure that those same legislators recognize that this federal administration is a clear and present threat to our liberty, and the state must act. I'm convinced that those legislators, just like those that are here, believe that Idaho citizens should retain the foundation of liberties that built this nation. I had hoped to wait for them even tomorrow. Maybe they'd show up, but I'm beginning to believe that that hope was misplaced. We are told that leadership has not sanctioned reconvening. We are told that we are grandstanding. We are told it's illegal for the legislature to reconvene. I just wish we'd act like elected representatives of the people. Instead, we're acting like a club that knows best for you. We plan to work on vaccine exemption, a law that would protect the unvaccinated from being forced for the jab. But instead, leadership has appointed yet another committee to study the issues and propose solutions. Another committee? Are you kidding me? Your legislature must draft law to assure medical freedom, personal liberty, and the right to our own privacy. We're living in a hologram of liberty, and I stole that from Kenneth Royce's book. But we say, hey, this is a free country, isn't it? Can we protect the preborn, the innocent, from being murdered? Are our children being educated or indoctrinated? Are we free to say what we will over the phone or on the internet? Well, you may do that, but they're recording it. Can we hold free elections without fraud? Do we know that? Can we even trust Idaho's election outcome anymore, knowing what we know? By the way, the answer is sure we can. No need for forensic audit. Trust the machines. What happened to trust but verify? Well, I don't trust any of it anymore. I don't trust the jab. Centralized power is obviously tyranny. And if we can't stop the government from injecting us with anything, it's no longer a threat. It's happening. Justice has outright failed us. We must stay engaged against all odds. So in closing, it's unfortunate that we don't see legislative leadership here. Obviously, it's leadership that's throwing the roadblocks up to our immediately acting against this communist administration. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Well, they won't get out of the way. For whatever reason, they won't. State sovereignty and personal liberty are disappearing while we form another committee. Inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Did the drafters of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution not hit the nail on the head? So rest easy. They can't arrest us for just complaining, can they? Well, I ask again, for how much longer? Thank you. Tammy? I'm sorry, Dorothy. Representative Moon.
Representative Barbieri, that was excellent. I want to add a few more things, then maybe turn it over to some of the folks behind me. There's been a lot of stuff on the news that's been traveling around, AP stories, radio shows. Anyway, one thing I just love is when they say, if they come up to the Capitol, it's going to cost $37,000 a day. How does freedom Even you put a price tag on it when we've had billions of dollars thrown through the fingers of the governor to spend any way he wants without legislative oversight. So I want you to know, everyone here behind me drove hours and hours, are paying for their own hotel rooms. We're going to pay for our own meals as well because we represent you. Second thing also that you might have heard in the mainstream media is that we're not prepared. We're just going to come up here and twiddle our thumbs and, oh, we need something to come out of the Legislative Services Office and RS, which is the beginning phases of a bill. And guess what? Can everybody behind me hold up all the RSs they have ready to discuss? Oh my goodness. Some of us aren't just a part-time legislature. We work year-round to prepare good proposed bills to be considered in this chamber. Currently, there's one bill, or one RS, that's being discussed via email and via phone. That isn't how we do things. Do you remember the old how hard it is to make a law, a bill, and you follow it around? It's supposed to be hard to make a bill and get it to the governor's desk. We don't sit here and talk on the phone, okay, I'm in, okay, I'm good, I haven't read it, but I'm in just because you're in. That isn't how we do things. We bring the bill to committee. We need people in here to have a committee. Then we hash through the bill. Give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down. Let's table it, let's amend it, let's move it on to the floor. We're not even given that opportunity. But you know what? We're sure ready for the opportunity. We are ready like gangbusters. Can they showboat these again? Hold those up again. You bunch of showboaters. Thank you, appreciate it. So I just want you to know we are working for you. They are working for you. They have solutions to the problem. We have solutions, but we can't get in. Now let's talk about, okay, I know Representative Barbieri talked about the Federalism Committee meeting on the 28th. So you know what they're going to do, the Federalism Committee? They're going to tear apart Biden's mandates and look at the legal holes. Okay, through OSHA, how do we go after this? Through all these federal agencies, do we go after them? Isn't that what the AG is supposed to do? You guys have no idea how many lawyers you have hired as taxpayers to take care of these issues that aren't being addressed. How many AGs? I think the last I saw, there were 15 states that have already signed on to take on the Biden administration to fight this. How come we're not there? Why isn't Idaho on there? Come on. Get on it. So anyway, now we're looking at the 28th for the Federalism Committee to create subcommittees. You know what we call that? Kicking the can down the road. Okay? Way down the road. We were supposed to be in before September 1. Now we're looking at October. You know what the heck? Let's just wait till January. Let's wait till half of our medical force is gone. Everybody can't get taken care of. Everybody's using super glue on stitches. I already can see the mayhem going on.
And they're injecting the kids.
That's right. They are injecting and testing the kids. So, you know what? You guys are great. You have no idea. I just let you know we're not here just for medical workers. I've had a pilot from my district who's a captain with a major airline. October 1, if he doesn't get the jab after 29 years, he has to retire. I have a nephew who's a captain for Alaska. He's 32 years old, very young for a captain. He had his solo license before he had a driver's license. His dream is nothing but to be in the air. He will give up his career because he will not take the jab because he's raising a young family. So everybody behind me is the same stories. Representative Ron Nate met with a couple hundred people at Idaho National Laboratories the other day. They're upset. The federal employees have to take the jab or they lose their job. Micron has to take the jab or they lose their job. You know, this is so wrong. So if our state legislature does not realize how paramount it is that we get in and address this, I think you know what to do. What are you guys going to do next? All right, there you go. Vote them out. You get people who represent your true interests. But you know what? Don't take their word for it. When they come to your 4th of July parade or they come to a memorial remembrance in your community, they tell you all the right things. I'm fighting for you. I represent you. Don't believe any of us. Don't believe me. You go look up Dorothy Moon. You look up what Idaho Freedom Foundation, the American Conservative Union, and every other person who rates bills, and see how I fare, see how they fare, see how your legislator fares as far as voting for the people. Small government. That's on you. And people have been complacent for too long. Okay? So you guys find out how they vote. Look at last year's bills. See which ones interest you. Go in and see who voted against it or for it. And if they're not, you guys have got to hold their feet to the fire. Just because they're nice guys, nice gals, that isn't enough. Okay? So get involved. All right, I've just gave you some of my personal stories. I don't know if anybody else wants to share anything behind me. Yes? Okay, Representative Nichols.
Thank you. You know, it's the stories that really get to me, and it's when you have people contacting you wanting to know how are they going to possibly make their livelihood? How are they going to be able to take care of their families? How are they going to take care of their loved ones that received a jab and now are having consequences because of that, or they have actually died? There are so many stories. I have been talking to people nonstop for the last probably 15 months easily. In regards to issues with their job, with their kids, with going to school. I have helped several parents unmask their kids at school and lift those mask mandates so that their kids can breathe. Having children of my own, having gone through the same situation, I totally relate to these families, to these parents, but there's all these different things that are transpiring. I've never seen so many things happen in such a short period of time. And if I knew that fear could be utilized to drive people to do what they normally wouldn't do, there's so many different things we could have done. So good things though, right? But anyway, I've been working with the nurses. I've been helping them. I've attended their rallies and their protests and trying to help them keep their jobs and to facilitate that, because they are worried, they are scared. We have students that are in our medical programs that are now dropping out because they don't want to have to go through this process of having to take this shot. If we have doctors and nurses and medical students and other medical professionals that are resisting this, that should be a red flag to the rest of us, don't you think? You know, we have Dr. Cole will be here at 2:00 today, and he will be doing, yes. And he is now on the health board, which is amazing. And we are so glad to have someone with more perspective and very, very knowledgeable about what's transpiring to be able to help make decisions for our area here. And he has taken a lot of arrows and a lot of heat to do what he's doing. And I really appreciate him for all his expertise. I got to know him a year ago, last March, when he sat down with me and a few others, and we spent 3 hours with him as he gave us the biology 101 in regards to how viruses work and all that other fun stuff. So it was a really interesting perspective and helped to facilitate the things that we were going to need to know as we saw everything transpiring. But I am here to stand with you. I'm here to stand with the people, because freedom is worth fighting for. And if we don't do it, we see what's happening in Australia, we see what's happening in Israel, we see what's happening in Paris, France, we see what's transpiring in those places. Don't think that we're immune from that. We're not. We are not. And it takes all of us to stand up. They are having protests and rallies and all sorts of things transpiring every single day that they're participating in to stand up for their rights. Now, Australia, unfortunately, they lost their right to bear arms. And so they really have little options to be able to defend themselves. And they are asking them to do some crazy, crazy things. And there's a lot of arrests that are going on right now because they can't even travel within 5 kilometers, I think is all that they get outside of their home. Otherwise, they can be arrested. Do we want to get to that point? No, we don't. So it's now, it's 2 months ago, it's 5 months ago, it's a year ago. We need to be fighting for our rights, and we need to be doing it every single day. So we appreciate you coming out. We thank you for coming out. Please, please contact the other representatives. Tell them that they need to be here. They need to be standing with us. They need to be standing with you. They need to be representing you, and they need to be fighting for your rights. That is part of our job. It is a government by the people, and it is a republic if we can keep it. Thank you.
Yeah, we did. Okay, the last person who's going to speak is Senator Zito. Has a personal experience, and she has also did a fundraiser for a gentleman who was vaccine injured. It's an astounding story, but this isn't something you hear about in the press. So she's going to give you a brief overview of it. Here, Senator.
Thank you, Representative Moon. I'm going to stand out here because I'm short enough that you can't see me when I stand up there, and I don't do well in heels anymore. So, I don't care if you choose to get a vaccine. I don't care if you choose not to get a vaccine. I care that you make an informed decision. That's all I care about. Is that better? Can you hear me now? So, my neighbor, Doug Cameron, took the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. A few hours later, he started to have a lot of pain from the waist down. And he went to the doctor's office and they told him to go home and take some Tylenol or whatever. And I'm not going to go into a lot of details about the story. But my neighbor will now spend the rest of his life confined to a wheelchair. He'll never walk again. Now, there will be another representative who will tell you that because they live closer to him, they know more about this than I do and that this is being misrepresented. But I talk to Doug, I go to their home, I see them. I know for a fact that Doug will spend the rest of his life confined to a wheelchair and everything that goes along with that. This is happening, and Doug is not the only one. There are a lot of stories out there like this. Do what you're going to do, but make sure that you are informed and make sure that you make wise choices and decisions. We've raised about $23,000 to help Doug with his medical expenses, and I'm grateful to all of you who helped do that. Another little thing I'd like to address is Representative Nichols touched on it just briefly, and that's our Second Amendment. Now, I know probably everybody standing here today at one time or another has said they will take my guns when they pry them out of my cold dead hand. But I appreciate that and I agree with you, but I want to point one thing out to you. Your right to move, your right to shop, your right to travel, your right to have power in your home, your right to go see your grandkids, your right to do anything that is guaranteed you in the Constitution, right down to making a living, to feed yourself, to own your own property, can be taken away just as fast. And your Second Amendment right can follow just as easily with the social credit score and the Vax Pass. It's all going to combine and go together. I don't know if any of you understand the gravity of what is happening here. This is not a time to wait. This is not a time to meet. This is not a time to subcommittee like the Education Committee that spent 5 years coming up with a funding formula that no one could read. This is a time that we have got to take action or all will be lost. You have got to call on your elected representatives. You have got to know who you're voting for Attorney General, Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor, all the rest of them. You have got to know. You have got to know who your representatives are, and you cannot listen to the BS that is going to come out at election time. You have got to look and know what their voting records are, not what they tell you. You have got to do your homework, and then you have a responsibility to make sure that everybody in your circle of influence knows. The rubber is to the road. The time is now. The call is now. Paul Revere all of them standing before you here today, these brave representatives. They are the Paul Revere's of Idaho. Follow them, listen to them. God bless you and thank you.
All right, we've got another representative who wants to speak, and then our illustrious, beautiful Lieutenant Governor will be here to wind it down.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I wasn't going to speak today, but I feel compelled to do so. My name is Tony Wisniewski. I represent the Great North Idaho, District 3, Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene area. I'm going to just read you one quotation, and I want this to sink into you. There is one means that wins the easiest victory over reason: terror and force. Now, we've been terrorized by the media, the fourth column of the Democrat Party, for about 15 months now. You don't hear anything except those things that frighten most people about COVID. And force, we've seen the president come out and dictate that everyone that works in a company of over 100 employees gets vaccinated. If that isn't force, an overreach of force, I don't know what is. Now let me read that quote one more time and I'll tell you when and where it was stated. The one means that wins the easiest victory over reason: terror and force. Adolf Hitler, 1924, okay? Almost 100 years ago, before he even became chancellor. He was an agitator way back then. Now, a lot of people don't know, but my parents lived in Europe during the Great Depression, and they lived under Nazism. My father was in the Polish army. He was captured by the Germans, spent time in a prisoner of war camp. How far are we from that happening here with this force and terror that's being imposed on the American public? Please keep that in mind. Yeah, we just heard that some camps are even being considered open right now. So that's all I had to say. We're not that far away from absolute terror and lock and key. So thank you for listening.
You know, I think it's all because we're color coordinated today. Now everybody wants to speak. Representative Christensen has a short word to say. I've never seen so much blue in my life. Hang on.
Good afternoon. I want to say a couple of things real quick. A couple years ago, I got a nickname from the liberals here in Boise when I was complaining about BSU's garbage. I was called Mad Chad. Well, you know what? I am mad. I'm angry. I'm angry for you, and I'm fed up with the tyranny and the COVID agenda and the violations of freedom going on day after day. I told my constituents a couple months ago I would go anywhere in the state and stand armed for of a business or their home or wherever it may be to protect them. I will go anywhere in the state to do that, with patriots to join me. So I invite you, that does happen, stand with me, stand with us, be armed, stand up to this garbage. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, hey, oh, whoa. Representative Furch, get down here right now.
I wasn't planning on saying anything either, but, you know, I just want to let people know that I'm here to talk for the people behind all the emails that are flooding my email box. I'm here to stand up for the neighbors on my block that literally came to my house this weekend while I was out landscaping, asking me to be here today. There are people on the other end of my block that work for Micron that have expressed concerns about what's going on. And so I'm here to, voice for those people behind the emails, the people that are approaching me personally, and point out that we need to start having conversations about science. So for instance, if a conversation about natural immunity, I saw the sign over here to my right, if the recognition that natural immunity is superior to shot immunity is good enough for the former head of the FDA and current board member of Pfizer, such that he would say natural immunity against COVID-19 needs to be included in policy discussions. If it is good enough for Dr. Scott Gottlieb, it should be good enough for us. The challenge is that can't be rightly included in discussions if we're not discussing. And so we need to get in there, we need to start discussing, we need to cover these issues and make a difference for the people of Idaho.
Anybody else? Oh. the man from the north. Yes, Representative Van Dyke.
Other man from the north.
Yeah, the other man from the north, Representative Wisniewski is my seatmate. I wasn't going to speak either, and I'm going to be very brief, but it hit me in the middle of the night the other night. I don't sleep well with all things that are going on, so I think about things. And America has been, past tense, conquered by fear. And right now, we're in the process of surrendering our freedom and our liberty. And our founders pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor for the cause of freedom and liberty. And I'm afraid we're all going to have to probably do the same. Thank you.
Representative Kingsley.
I promise I will be quick. I'm Representative Kingsley from District 6. I want to put you guys in a place. I want you to think about this. Flight 93, we all know the one that took out or that was headed for Washington, D.C. I want to put you put yourself on that plane. You put yourself and you think, would you have stood up and would you have fought tyranny? Would you have fought those terrorists? That's what you're doing right here, right now. All of us are here. And I believe it's on that same scale that we are working at this. We have got to fight. God bless you all. Thank you.
We're all a bunch of chatty Cathys today. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Representative Nate.
Thanks. Let the grandstanding continue. Yesterday I read the Intolerable Acts. It's amazing that Massachusetts was picked on by King George. Those Intolerable Acts, 3 of the 4 of them were against Massachusetts because Massachusetts had the audacity to oppose and protest attacks. We're not talking, and these were economic sanctions put on Massachusetts. We're not talking about economic sanctions here. We're talking about your bodily autonomy, your freedom to choose for yourself. It's not whether you're pro-vax or anti-vax, it's whether you're pro-freedom or anti-freedom. Now, I know Joe Biden overstepped his bounds last Thursday, but this was put together before that. We were already coming here because Idaho leaders were not acting fast enough. Workers are on the chopping block and we want to work for them. So we want to get this done. But it turned into a constitutional crisis on Thursday, didn't it? Yes. This is another in a long train of abuses we've had to endure. It's an intolerable act put on Idaho. We need to be here and act. Any legislators that you don't see here on the steps, you need to let them know and ask them why they're not standing up for Idaho. A press conference on the other side of the state is not doing it. A few words in an email back to you saying, I don't agree with the process, is not doing it. Your freedoms are on the line. Let's get them here. Thanks.
In all fairness, Representative Nate, some of them said they were with us in spirit. Doesn't work for me. Okay, Lieutenant Governor McGeehan, you are on.
Dorothy. Wow, I am so impressed with how many people are out here today. I just came here to support my friends in the legislature and their efforts, and also to be able to invite you to listen to Dr. Ryan Cole today at 2 o'clock in the Capitol, West Wing 53. He's going to be here to talk to us about this new variant, the Delta variant, and what we need to do to keep ourselves healthy and out of the hospitals. And talking about the strength of our own natural immunity. Now, I think that the color of blue is very appropriate today because the color of blue represents liberty. And it is not the place. If you want a vaccine, get a vaccine. It's so readily available, free. If you want it, get it. But it is not the place of any business, any governor, or any president to dictate to us what we do with our bodies. This is all about freedom and liberty. And that is worth fighting for. So thank you to all of you who are here today. Thank you to my friends in the legislature. I stand with you in solidarity and support, and I will make another respectful call to the Speaker of the House to reconvene the House so that they can deal with this and pass a law. And as the President of the Senate, if it comes to a tie vote, you can count on my vote. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I want to thank you all so much for being here. You have no idea what it means. We didn't know how many of you could make it, but this is an astounding crowd. It really warms all of our hearts. It does, because we've all lost some sleep this week. Well, we lose a lot of sleep. A lot of melatonin is used by a bunch of us. But I want to tell you, it does really, truly, if I could shake all your hands and let you know how much we appreciate it, we sure do. We're going to go into the Capitol. We're going to see if we can get into the chambers. We did try to reserve it. No one has gotten back with me, so I don't know what's going to happen. If we can't get into the chambers, we are going to move into a committee room. And guess what? We're going to do work for the people, unpaid, and look at all of these RSs so we can start evaluating them. Yay! So anyway, I want to thank you so much. If you want to mill around the Capitol, see what your taxpayer dollars are doing, or they're renovating some things, wait and see Dr. Cole. He is well worth the wait. Follow us around if you want. Visit with us. We'll be around.